Well, Wilson, the day has finally arrived. I've been really excited for this day to come, except for Monday night when I found out how much this tuxedo cost that I'm wearing. Goodness. But I've got it on, I look okay, and I'm okay with it. I'm back to being excited now. It's hard to believe that over 14 years ago, a 10-year-old Wilson was giving his best man speech at my wedding. While a lot of that day was a complete blur, there are a certain few moments that really stood out and will always remain clear. Your speech was certainly one of those moments. Even then, as a 10-year-old boy in a room full of grown-ups, all eyes staring at you, you delivered a speech that was mature beyond your years. As I recall, the speech ended with you saying something to the effect of, "When I grow up, I want to be just like you." And while I so appreciated that sentiment, it definitely drew a lot of oohs and ahs from the crowd, maybe a few tears too, and it certainly struck the fear of God into your mother and father. I'm relieved to say that that wish has only partially come true. Lucky for you. For those of you wondering why I'm directing my speech to a guy named Wilson instead of John, rest assured that I have not lost my mind entirely. I come from a line of relatives who had nicknames for everyone, and I've taken it upon myself to carry on that tradition. I'm not sure even Wilson knows this story, but for the longest time I called John Will, short for his middle name William, and that was until the movie Castaway came out, and Will became Wilson. Yes, Wilson, you are named after an old tattered volleyball. As a boy, living with 3 sisters, my prayers often included a plea for a little brother. It would have been nice for God not to keep me waiting for 16 whole years, but I am grateful nonetheless. A few things that I was able to observe over the course of your childhood were: 1, how privileged the youngest of 5 siblings is. Yes. 2, how many different interests you have had over the years. And 3, how drastically parenting styles can change over the course of 16 years. I still to this day have no idea who the 2 people are that raised you and Otis, because they are certainly not the same people that raised Jackie and Michael and I. You got away with everything, and we got away with nothing. Now, one thing about all the many interests you've had over the years is how dedicated and devoted you are to those interests. Whether it was with the violin or the trumpet or paintball or woodworking or guns or cars or school or CrossFit, whenever you found something that piques your interest, you were all in, 100% committed. That level of commitment that you have displayed your whole life is reflected in your proven commitment to Casey. Just know that you can't swap her out for another one, as you have all your various vehicles. I don't even know what number you are on. I lost track a long time ago, and I think that goes back to that whole privileged 5th child thing. Wilson, I really enjoyed going to dinner the other night with just you and me and Dad and getting to discuss your relationship with Casey and our life experiences. I enjoyed our night out with the brother-in-laws too, but I won't go into that any further. Just know that we might have some pretty interesting video footage and pics that may surface in time. One thing that stood out at our dinner was the comment you made about how you felt a lot of Casey's strengths were some of your weaknesses, and in turn, some of your strengths may be some of Casey's weaknesses, and how well you complemented each other. I probably appreciated that comment the most because I feel as though it's true in my own life with my relationship with Jen. Also, it is pretty clear that your weaknesses strongly exceed Casey's. Seriously, I feel as though that is a very important thing to recognize and understand and appreciate those differences. Just know that from this day forward, you and Casey are a team. You're pulling on the same rope with a common purpose and a lifelong commitment to each other. You both are smart enough to know that team members don't always agree, they don't always see eye to eye, but at the end of the day, you chose to honor the team and the commitment to work together through the good and the bad, no matter what. Wilson, I've been so impressed with your level-headedness and your maturity. Just as I alluded to earlier, whether you're a 10-year-old boy giving a speech at a wedding or a 20-year-old young man devoting himself to his engineering studies, I have never witnessed a time that you have ever been reckless or rebellious or hazardous to yourself or your future. You have displayed a wisdom beyond your years. Perhaps that is in part due to watching and learning from your big brother and sister's occasional missteps. But likely it's just who you are and who your parents raised you to be. A man rooted in his faith, his family, and his love for the woman standing beside him today. Wilson, I love you. I'm proud of you. I'm happy for you. And one of these days when I grow up, if I grow up, I want to be just like you. Casey, we welcome you to the Christian clan with open arms and open hearts. Thank you for loving our brother so well. So everyone, please join me. Raise a glass to Wilson and Casey and their lifelong journey together. Thank you all.